This woman also prayed most fervently that the Almighty deign to procure for her in matrimony a husband who should help her to observe the ancient law and testament, and to be perfect in the fulfillment of all its precepts. At the moment in which St. Anne thus prayed to the Lord, his providence ordained that St. Joachim made the same petition. Both prayers were presented at the same time before the tribunal of the Holy Trinity, where they were heard and fulfilled, it being then and there divinely disposed that Joachim and Anne unite in marriage and become the parents of her who was to be the mother of the incarnate God. In furtherance of this divine decree, the archangel Gabriel was sent to announce it to them both. To St. Anne he appeared in visible form, while she was engaged in fervent prayer for the coming of the Saviour and the Redeemer of men. When she saw the Holy Prince, most beautiful and refulgent, she was disturbed and frightened, and yet at the same time interiorly rejoiced and enlightened. The holy maiden prostrated herself in profound humility to reverence the messenger of heaven. But he prevented and encouraged her as being destined to be the ark of the true manna, Mary most holy, Mother of the Word. For this holy angel had been informed of this sacramental mystery on being sent with this message. The other angels did not yet know of it, as this revelation or illumination had been given directly from God only to Gabriel. Nevertheless, the angel did not then manifest this great sacrament to St. Anne, but he asked her to attend and said to her, "The Most High give thee his blessing, servant of God, and be thy salvation. His Majesty has heard thy petitions, and he wishes thee to preserve therein, and that thou continue to clamor for the coming of the Redeemer. It is his will that thou accept Joachim as thy spouse, for he is a man of upright heart and acceptable to the Lord. In his company thou wilt be able to persevere in the observances of his law and in his service. Continue thy prayers and thy supplications, and to be not solicitous for anything else, for the Lord will see them fulfilled. Walk in the straight paths of justice, and let thy soul's converse be in heaven. Continuing to pray for the Messiah, be thou joyful in the Lord, who is thy salvation." With these words, the angel disappeared, leaving her enlightened in many mysteries of Holy Scriptures, and comforted and renewed in spirit. To Saint Joachim, the archangel did not appear in a corporeal manner, but he spoke to the man of God in sleep as follows: "Joachim, be thou blessed by the right hand of the Most High. Persevere in thy desires, and live according to rectitude and perfection. It is the will of the Almighty that thou receive Saint Anne as thy spouse. For her the Lord has visited with his blessing. Take care of her and esteem her as a pledge of the Most High, and give thanks to his Majesty because he has given her into thy charge." In consequence of this divine message, Saint Joachim immediately asked for the hand of the most chaste Anne, and, in joint obedience to the divine ordainment, they espoused each other. But neither of them manifested to each other the secret of what had happened until several years afterwards, as I will relate in its place. The two holy spouses lived in Nazareth, continuing to walk in the justification of the Lord. In rectitude and sincerity, they practiced all virtue in their works, making themselves very acceptable and pleasing to the Most High, and avoiding all blemish in all their doings. The rents and incomes of their estate they divided each year into 3 parts. The first one they offered to the temple of Jerusalem for the worship of the Lord. The second they distributed to the poor, and the third they retained for the decent sustenance of themselves and family. God augmented their temporal goods on account of their generosity and charity. They themselves lived with each other in undisturbed peace and union of heart, without quarrel or shadow of a grudge. The most humble Anne subjected herself and conformed herself in all things to the will of Joachim, and that man of God, with equal emulation of humility, sought to know the desires of holy Anne, confiding in her with his whole heart, and he was not deceived. Thus they lived together in such perfect charity that during their whole life they never experienced a time during which one ceased to seek the same thing as the other, but rather as being united in the Lord, they enjoyed his presence in holy fear. Saint Joachim, solicitous to obey the command of the angel, honored his spouse and lavished his attention upon her. The Lord forestalled the holy matron Anne with the blessings of his sweetness, communicating to her the most exalted graces and infused science, which prepared her for the happy destiny of becoming the mother of her who was to be the mother of God himself. As the works of God are perfect and consummate, it was natural to expect that he should make her a worthy mother of that most pure creature, who should be superior in sanctity to all creatures and inferior only to God.